Imagine a battlefield, silent and eerie, shrouded in a thick blanket of smoke. As it slowly lifts, a single figure emerges from the chaos. This is the story of Shifty Powers, a name that might not be in every history book, but one that embodies the raw courage and sheer luck of a soldier who became the last man standing. His tale isn't just about survival. It's a testament to the human spirit in the face of unimaginable horror. What did he see? What did he feel? And how did one man walk away when so many others fell? We're about to journey back to the blood-soaked fields of World War II to uncover the incredible story of the lone survivor. His real name was Darrell Powers, but to his brothers in arms in Easy Company, 506th Parachute Infantry Regiment, 101st Airborne Division, he was simply Shifty. This was the legendary band of brothers, a unit whose exploits would become iconic. But before the fame, there was the fear, the training, and the brutal reality of war. Shifty hailed from the mountains of Virginia, a quiet, unassuming man with an almost supernatural talent for shooting. His marksmanship was legendary. They said he could hit a running squirrel from 100 yards. In the Army, this translated into him being one of the best riflemen in the entire regiment. But no amount of skill could fully prepare a man for what was to come. The date was June 6, 1944, D-Day. As thousands of planes droned across the English Channel, Shifty and the men of Easy Company prepared to jump into the heart of occupied France. Their mission: to secure key positions behind enemy lines before the main invasion force hit the beaches. The flight was hellish. Flak tore through the sky, ripping planes apart. Shifty's plane was hit, but they made it to the drop zone. The moment the green light flashed, they plunged into the darkness, into a storm of tracer fire and chaos. Many men were scattered, lost, or killed before they even touched the ground. Shifty landed alone, miles from his intended drop zone, in a field surrounded by the enemy. For a lone paratrooper, this was a death sentence. But Shifty's calm demeanor and woodland skills, honed in the Virginia hills, kicked in. He wasn't a soldier in a foreign land. He was a hunter, and the enemy was his prey. He moved silently, using the darkness as his cloak, evading patrols and slowly making his way toward the rally point. This was the first of many moments where his unique background would save his life. Over the next few days, he linked up with other scattered paratroopers, and eventually Easy Company. They fought their way through the hedgerows of Normandy, a brutal, close-quarters slugfest where every field and every corner could hide a German machine gun. Shifty's marksmanship was put to the ultimate test. He became the company's eyes, their designated sharpshooter, often taking out enemy positions that had pinned down entire platoons. But the cost was immense. With every town they liberated, they left behind friends. The bonds forged in the crucible of combat were unbreakable, which made each loss feel like losing a part of yourself. Then came Operation Market Garden, the ambitious and ultimately tragic attempt to seize bridges in the Netherlands. Easy Company was dropped again, this time in broad daylight. They fought fiercely, but were eventually pushed back. The fighting was relentless, a constant grind of advances and retreats. The stress was immense, the fatigue bone deep. Men were breaking, physically and mentally. Yet Shifty remained a steady presence, his quiet confidence a rock for the newer, terrified replacements. The winter of 1944 brought them to the Ardennes forest in Belgium, and the infamous Battle of the Bulge, Hitler's last, desperate gamble. The 101st Airborne was rushed to the key crossroads town of Bastogne, surrounded by German armor and infantry, and told to hold at all costs. They were outnumbered, outgunned, and lacked winter clothing, ammunition, and food. The conditions were horrific. Temperatures plummeted far below freezing. Snow blanketed the forest, turning it into a white hell. Men suffered from frostbite, trench foot, and sheer exhaustion. The constant artillery shelling was a nerve-shredding nightmare they called tree bursts, where shells would explode in the treetops, sending a deadly rain of shrapnel and wooden splinters down on the men in their foxholes. This is where Shifty's story takes its most dramatic turn. On December 29, 1944, Easy Company was holding a thin line in the woods near the village of Foy. The shelling was ceaseless. Shifty, peering out from his foxhole, noticed something strange. A single tree, far out in the distance, that wasn't there before. His hunter's instincts screamed that something was wrong. He grabbed his rifle, aimed, and fired. The tree exploded. It was a camouflaged German observation post. By taking it out, he had single-handedly blinded the German artillery that had been savaging their position. For this incredible feat, a feat that undoubtedly saved countless American lives, Shifty was told he had earned a ticket home. He had enough points, he had done his duty, and he could leave the war behind. It was the dream of every soldier. But fate had a different plan. On January 13, 1945, the day he was scheduled to be pulled from the line and driven to the rear, the company launched its final, bloody assault on Foy. As his comrades charged across the open, snow-covered field under withering machine gun fire, Shifty watched, his ride to safety waiting for him. He was a spectator to the carnage that he was, for once, not a part of. He saw friends fall, men he had shared foxholes with, men he had laughed and bled with. The psychological toll of watching this, of being safe while his brothers were dying, was immense. Finally, the battle was won. Foy was taken. Shifty got into the truck that would take him to Paris, the first step on his journey home. As the truck rumbled down the road, away from the frozen hell of Bastogne, it was involved in a horrific accident. The vehicle skidded on the icy road and crashed. Shifty was thrown from the truck, suffering multiple severe injuries. He was broken, pelvis shattered, ribs cracked, his body a wreck. The irony was cruel, almost unbelievable. He had survived the Normandy jump, the hedgerows, Operation Market Garden, and the hell of Bastogne. He had faced down German machine guns, mortar, and artillery, and he was taken out of the war not by an enemy bullet, but by a simple traffic accident. He spent the next several months in a hospital, slowly, painfully recovering. As he lay there, the war in Europe came to an end. Victory was declared. The world celebrated. But for Shifty, the war's end was a lonely, quiet affair in a hospital ward, far from the men he called his brothers. When he was finally well enough to be sent home, he discovered another cruel twist of fate. When Easy Company was finally relieved from combat and celebrated the end of the war in Austria, they did so at Hitler's captured mountain retreat, the Eagle's Nest. Every man in the company had a chance to loot the place, taking souvenirs, silverware, photo albums, anything they could find. They were celebrating their survival, their victory, but Shifty missed it all. He was in a hospital bed. He had been the first man in the company to earn the right to go home, but because of his accident, he was one of the last to actually get there. So, when we talk about the last man standing, we often picture a lone figure on a battlefield. For Shifty Powers, the reality was more complex, and in many ways, more tragic. He wasn't the last man to physically survive the war. Most of Easy Company did, but in a symbolic sense, he was the last one left behind by the sequence of events. He was the man who survived the battle, only to be struck down by a random accident on his way to safety. He was the man who watched his friends charge into one last fight while he could only look on. He was the man who missed the final triumphant celebration with his brothers. He was the last man standing on the edge of safety, only to be pulled back into a different kind of fight, a long, painful recovery. After the war, Shifty returned to Virginia. He didn't talk much about his experiences. Like many veterans, he locked the horrors away. He got a job, raised a family, and lived a quiet life. For decades, his incredible story was known only to his family and his fellow Easy Company veterans. It was until Stephen Ambrose's book, Band of Brothers, and the subsequent HBO miniseries that the world came to know the quiet hero from Virginia. Shifty himself became a beloved figure, attending reunions and speaking to groups, always humble, always deflecting praise. He never saw himself as a hero. He always said he was just a soldier doing his job, trying to survive and help his friends survive. The story of Shifty Powers is a powerful reminder that war is not just about battles and strategy. It's about individual human beings caught in extraordinary circumstances. It's about skill, luck, and the random cruelty of fate. He was a man whose incredible marksmanship saved lives, yet it was a simple truck crash that ended his war. He was the lone survivor of a unique set of circumstances, a man whose journey home was more fraught with peril than the battlefield itself. His legacy is not just in the shots he fired, but in the quiet dignity with which he lived his life after the guns fell silent. He truly was, in his own unique way, the last man standing. Thank you for watching. If you found this story as incredible as we did, please hit that like button and subscribe for more stories of the unsung heroes of history. Let us know in the comments what part of Shifty's story moved you the most. Until next time.